One. Hello and welcome to the Breaking Free podcast. I'm your host, Nathan Francis. Today, very grateful, very humble to be joined by Valerie Rubin. Valerie Rubin is an anxious attachment expert, and we've been talking for the last 10 minutes off air. And she's young, she's 26. She obviously has a very awesome story, which I don't know too much about. My listeners, my viewers, will be looking forward to this chat today because I feel like the anxious attachment might have been an old version of me. So, Valerie, welcome to my show. Let's chat all things how you became an expert in this field, and then we'll go off on a tangent, which I feel like I'm going to get some gold nuggets today. Valerie, welcome.
Thank you so much for the warm welcome, Nathan. I am so happy to be here. I'm so happy. Also, your accent, I fuck with the accent. Love it. So I'm so happy to be here. So, what really prompted me and how I got to become the expert in anxious attachment is I was working with clients with general anxiety, CBTSD, and what was stopping them from actually healing that and overcoming that was the relationships. They were stuck in toxic relationships, trauma bonds, people who were neglecting their needs, people who were emotionally unavailable. And
Wow.
so, with that, and then once we start to actually work on what's causing you to do that, it's something called an anxious attachment style. And we'll go into more of that, what that means, what that looks like, and how to work through that. But for me, also was my own lived experience. My parents got separated in 2021. They were married for over 30 years at that point, and they are very much trauma bonded, codependent on each other, and in a toxic relationship. My father is a narcissist, and when they became separated and went through all of that, my mom was starting to feel very suicidal, which was terrifying. It was really terrifying to see her going through that, but it was really going through withdrawals. So if you go through a breakup or you are, releasing a trauma bond or breaking an attachment with someone in the brain, the same chemicals that are going off is the same as a withdrawal from heroin or cocaine. So it
Wow.
is fucking real and it's insane. So for me, I want to help as many women and men stop that cycle of being attracted to emotionally unavailable partners so that they can
Ooh.
have healthy and fulfilling relationships. And so that's something that I've done for myself is really breaking those that attraction to emotionally unavailable people, because if you've had an emotionally unavailable parent, that becomes your default. Your nervous system is wired for safety even if
Correct.
that doesn't look quote unquote emotionally healthy. So that's the essence of why I do what I do, my story, and how I became an expert. And then, of course, I've done many trainings, have become trauma informed, got my degree in psychology. I do brain spotting, somatic parts work. I'm a hypnotherapist. I do all the things.
Love that. Yeah. So
Yes,
you work with the subconscious too. That's the sort of coaching I
absolutely.
do. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. That's a pretty cool story. Hey, like, was there a moment in your life where things got really bad personally? Like, was you always
Yeah.
doing this, or did this work find you?
Combination of both. So for me, like my rock bottom moment was, so I guess I'll say two, but I'll say the one that really hit me the most was I was in a relationship with someone who was in the military. I thought I was going to fucking marry this guy. I thought he was the love of my life. He was my first, more so healthy relationship. But I realized as time went on that he was emotionally unavailable, and he said, I'm not ready for a relationship. And I felt completely gutted. I felt like I was going to die. I felt like my world and the rug came out from under me. It was so heartbreaking. And I still vividly remember when, we broke up. We were long distance at the time. And he said, I will always love you. And, we said goodbye literally as I was about to get on the plane. And it was just absolutely gut wrenching. And I was thinking, like, if I would have done more work on myself, you know, sometimes also you don't know until you're in those relationships what wounds
Yeah.
are left unhealed, but it was deeply painful and something that I haven't shared enough about, but it was very, very painful. And I was like, I want to avoid this in the future. And I want to know that I can trust my own self and I can trust myself to leave if things do become, more in that avoidant space where they're really being neglectful, because toward the end he was pulling away so much. I even looked up, is there such a thing as emotional starvation, which is so sad like to
Yeah.
say. And that's really how it felt. And when you're anxiously attached, there's two things that are happening. You fear being unseen, and
Oh.
you fear being seen, but you also fear being unseen. And because you never were praised or validated as a child for sharing those emotional experiences, maybe you were shamed, punished, criticized, ridiculed, you learn, I will not be loved until I'm perfect. I'm not loved until I'm fully healed. So a lot of clients will come to me wanting a deadline. When will I be fully healed? But do you actually want to be fully healed? But you really just want to be loved for all parts of you. But a part of you is scared for yourself to even meet all parts of you.
Mm. And you can give that to yourself, right? I can relate to
Absolutely.
a lot of
That's where
that.
it's all coming from. Yes,
Mm.
it's all coming from that.
Yeah, that's interesting, hey, because a lot of young people will resonate with that because I feel like that's really prevalent right now in our
Mm-hmm.
society. You're in America, correct?
I am. That's right.
Yeah. So with attachment styles, I know there's many of them. How does one
Yes.
go about? We're going down the attachment styles
Yep.
conversation now. For those listening and watching, we're just going to do a bit of a detour because I want to get into this before you. Yeah. So, other attachment styles, what are they? What do they look like? And how do you know if you have them to become consciously aware of them? Let's go.
Mm-hmm. Let's get into it. So
Yep.
there's four different attachment styles. What we all are striving to be is securely attached. So secure attachment means I feel safe to depend on you. I know that I trust you as well as I trust myself. I am able to have vulnerable conversations. I'm able to lean on my partner. I'm able to feel safe in relationships and confident that things are working out and that I am okay and I am loved no matter what. That is what a secure attachment looks like. Then there's anxious attachment, which is what we're talking about, what I have worked through. And this looks like you have low confidence, you struggle with having high self esteem, a fear of being seen, a lot of emptiness and loneliness, feeling like I'm not good enough. That's the core wound, having a lot
Yeah.
of shame. A lot of clients of mine tell me they have this unconscious belief, what's wrong with me? And a chronic anxiety in relationships, always bracing for impact that they're going to leave, this fear of abandonment. Additionally, is this fear that I won't be loved for who I am. So now I have to have protector parts like people pleasing, perfectionism, over giving in
Mm.
order to, get them to love me. I have to prove my worth because I don't feel that internally. So that is how it manifests in relationships. This also can look like hypervigilance. So as soon as you walk into a room, you can feel if your partner is upset with you. You can feel if the energy is off in the room. Also, codependency, that is a very big one. What codependency really looks like and how my clients describe it is if my partner is having a bad day, I'm having a bad day. If my
Oh,
partner is
yeah.
safe, I'm safe. And then this also looks like my value comes from how others see me. So if my partner is mad at me or things aren't going well in my relationships, my internal sense of safety, I am not okay. That's what anxious attachment looks like.
How
And
does,
then,
yeah, you go.
yeah, you go.
No, no, no. Keep going.
I was going to say the other two attachment
Yep.
styles, but if you have any questions on anxious
We'll
attachment, we can
circle
go
back to the
there.
questions.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
So the next one is fearful avoidant. So fearful avoidant is also it's also really disorganized attachment. So this looks like I crave closeness and intimacy, but I
Oh,
also feel terrified and fear it at the same time. So this looks a lot like self sabotage, pushing people away, even though inside you just want to be close to this person. And so this really becomes formed when you've had an unpredictable parent, maybe a narcissistic parent. An alcoholic parent, you don't know which parent you're going to get. So this forms this deep inconsistency within oneself. You don't know who you're going to get, which parent you're going to get. So this looks like feeling deeply distrusting your partner. you feel really, it's really difficult to ever feel safe in these types of relationships. So I would say this is fearful, avoidant, and disorganized. These types of partners starting out in dating can masquerade as securely attached or even more anxious leaning. And then going down the line, they'll self sabotage it because they really feel suffocated by closeness. So that goes into fearful, avoidant slash disorganized. And then there is avoidant attachment. So that adding on to the fearful, avoidant piece is with avoidant attachment, more men tend to have avoidant attachment also because they're wired to believe that showing emotions are weak. They're
Yeah,
very
it's a big
shamed
topic.
for crying. Big topic. There's a lot of toxic masculinity out there. And so more men tend to lean in the avoidant leaning attachment style. So what this also looks like is feeling suffocated by closeness, not feeling safe to open up, not being vulnerable, creating space because they feel too uncomfortable with space. Looks like they avoid emotions. This could look like different addictions could be present.
Mm.
And they will end up discarding you when things get intimate, or they'll be extremely triggered when things get more deep, close, intimate. This could look like when you move in together. That's when they say, I'm not ready for a relationship. And so this begins to become formed because as a child, you know, when a child is picking up their arms and they're waiting to be soothed and hugged by their caregiver or their parent, they're straight up neglected,
Yeah.
rejected, dismissed, and then they're left alone. And so they learn it's safer not to be dependent on others. It's actually dangerous to be dependent on others. So this can look like very hyper independent. I don't need anyone.
Closing the heart off. Because I
Yep.
know for me, that was
Yep.
my biggest thing in my journey was reopening that heart that was closed off for a very long time. You know, I talk a lot about in my content that 0 to 8 age bracket is where you pick up all your subconscious programs, how you sort of run your life as you get older. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
From here, how does one go about becoming more conscious of their unconscious? And how do you
Mm.
help people in that space?
Absolutely. So it's first getting aware of your patterns. So if you're
Mhm.
anxious leaning, if you're more anxious attached, what I see with clients, especially women, is they fear their partner leaving. If their partner leaves on a business trip, they start to feel very dysregulated, very anxious, very panicked inside. And so it's like, okay, that's anytime you are having a big emotional reaction, it is not coming from your true adult self. It's coming from that 0 to 8 year old, that young part that is really feeling scared that their mom is going to leave them. They're feeling scared of being dropped off at preschool because they don't want to say goodbye to their mother. These are all ways that it can show up. So, how I really help them is becoming aware of what are your triggers, what brings out the most anxiety or depression or fawning, aka people pleasing. So, which state are you primarily in the most? And then what triggers those states? Because that's going to give us more information to our unconscious and what nervous system state we are in. And then it's what are your beliefs? Clients will tell me automatically their beliefs that are very
Yeah.
unconscious. I'm not good enough. My partner is going to leave me. You know, something's wrong with me. And so you are very already aware of that. And so how I help them rewire some of those things is helping you to first get connected to your body. If you're anxiously attached, you're very distracted, you're very in flight mode, do. Maybe workaholism is in there. That can be with avoidant leaning people as well, avoidant attachment. But within that anxious attachment space or avoidant leaning space, we want to start to process and learn how to process our emotions. You cannot think your way into becoming securely attached. You cannot think your way into safety. If you've had anyone in your life experience an anxiety attack or panic attack, or you're listening to this and you've had a panic attack, there's no talking your way out of it. You have to first feel safe in order to actually be safe. We can't let go of control if that's the only way we've learned to find safety. So it's the same thing with that. So it's starting to learn how to process our own emotions. And then we first lay out what protector parts are here. A lot of my clients say people pleasing, fear of abandonment, overgiving, overworking, proving my worth, overextending myself. This is where a lot of burnout comes in.
Mhm.
Needing external validation, that's a big one. So first utilizing and laying out what protector parts are here, and then I do somatic parts work, aka internal family systems, with clients where I help them understand what's the role, function, purpose, intention of people pleasing, of needing external validation to feel safe, of clinging onto your partner for dear life when he leaves on a business trip for 3 days. What is causing that to be there? When did you first learn that? What need is that protector part meeting? Because it's always meeting an underlying unconscious need. And then we go back to that inner child part of you that learned, I have to cling on for dear life or else I'm left. I have to be chronically anxious or else I'm not safe. I have to predict everything around me. So these are some examples of ways that I help clients bridge the unconscious. Also, some other ways are hypnotherapy. I, for one, have utilized with many clients and myself hypnotherapy, where we go to the root cause of, when did you first start believing that you were not good enough? When did you first start believing that other people are the source of your safety and not within yourself? Because we are all born secure and worthy. We have programming, conditioning, experiences, and traumas in our life that teach us otherwise. So then that's where these protector parts come from. And then rewiring limiting beliefs and our core wounds. And then I also utilize brain spotting, which is a somatic psychotherapy, body based therapy, where we are locating where your trauma memories are stored and releasing that trauma within the body. And so, what this looks like is, Nathan, you're looking straight at me. Some people, if you're talking to them, they're looking to the side, they're looking up, they're looking
Mhm.
down. That is a sign that we are processing something. So I utilize this on purpose with clients. Our nervous system impacts where we look and how we feel. So I will locate where the trauma memories are stored. Say you're really anxious and you're fearing your girlfriend's going to leave you, Nathan. I see you looking up there. I help you locate where that is stored in your brain. And then we help release that trauma using brain spotting. This helps to literally reorganize your brain. It's absolutely insane and very cool. So then you are not as triggered when your girlfriend leaves for the weekend with her girlfriends, for example.
That's cool, yeah. Because I find in the work I do, you help that person give that whatever it needed in that moment. It could have been when they were children, teenager, and they give that to themselves through the inner child work as well. Do you do much of that?
Yep, that's what I do in parts work, in hypnotherapy, in
Yeah,
brain spotting, because inner child healing, inner child work is one of the most important modalities that someone will have. Because with an anxious attachment, you learned that you will be left, you learned that you are not safe within yourself. And so when you're doing inner child healing, you're literally going back to that 4 year old part of you, and your brain does not know the difference between real and imaginary. So when
correct.
you're going back and doing this inner child healing and you're healing that 4 year old, you're healing that 4 year old in real time.
Yeah. My mum's Facebook's awesome because I just look at old photos throughout my life and I know which version's there. And it's like, I find them, I'm like, that's the guy. And I just like stare into it for like, who knows how long. And I'm just like holding him and just like letting it all out. That's how I do it.
Mm.
Letting go some, putting out some nuggets there for people. But that's the way I do it is like just stare into that photo, that old photo of you and just like hold him or hold her and tell them what they need in that moment. It's such a special thing. And
Absolutely. It's
more men
incredibly
need to do
special.
this.
Yes.
Yeah.
Scream it louder, Nathan. Absolutely.
Yeah. So with the anxious attachment, so obviously you're an expert in that field given your life experience. Has that shown up again for you? Like I feel like these things show up and you just get better at recognizing them. How's that been since that, I guess, breakup? How's all that like how are you now in that space? Personal
Thank
question.
you so much for asking that question. I love
Well, we've
that.
won. We just had a little bit of a funny moment there. So ask you the question about how you're going in that space now after that breakup in the anxious attachment and how's it shown up, and yeah, where are you at? Personal question.
Yeah, so yes, I love this personal question. Thank you so much, Nathan. So for me with the breakup, before then, I felt like I always needed to be with someone. I felt unsafe and fear being alone. And so now as I've done this deep work on myself, I've actually been able to slow my attachment to people who I've dated or went out with. I've been currently single for next month it's going to be a year and a half, which I'm really proud of myself, and it's felt so amazing. It's felt so amazing to be single and truly open my heart again in so many different ways. But for me, I still have triggers sometimes,
Yeah, we all get
especially in
them.
relationships that fully see me. And so I want to tell people, like, yes, I've done the work and I can absolutely help you heal your protector parts. And when you get really close with someone and you start to break down your walls, they might come up, they will come up again. And that is
Hmm.
okay and that makes you human. And it's like, what if I can love this part of me even more? What if I can love this part of me that is afraid to not be fully healed because a part of me feels I won't get love? And for me, for a personal example, like the other day, I was thinking of my best friend Emily, and she truly sees me in a deeper way than anyone has ever seen me. And we're going to be moving in together for in July. We're going to be in Tulum together, and a part of me has had a few friends that I lived with, and it went really south. And so, of course, my body learned that, oh, I'm going to get abandoned when I have that type of close intimacy with someone. And so my body was bracing for impact. And once I was able to tap into that scared younger part of me and really work through that and heal that and not shame this part of me, really love on this part, like, wow, I can really see how much you're bracing to lose her. I can really see also how much you care for her, and this makes sense. And as I've done that, it's really softened that part completely, and it's been beautiful.
That's awesome. Yeah, because a lot of friends in my circle see me too, and yeah, yeah. As the more work you do on yourself, the more like when you meet people in different like settings and that, like the more people see you and the deeper you go. Like, I was just going to ask you a question. I asked a lot of my guests this question actually, and I have my own views on it, and we'll have a chat about it. Are we ever fully healed?
No, I
I
no,
agree.
and I love that you asked me this question, Nathan. We're really on the same wavelength.
Yeah.
I was talking about this with Emily literally today. Like, we're never truly healed. We will go into different levels, but there's always more healing and integration and love that needs to be done. And that means that you're human, and that is okay. We're going to have different experiences. And Nathan, I'm sure you can relate. If you're listening to this and you have a business, especially a healing one or coaching business, you will have mirrors everywhere. Things
Oh,
that will poke at your wounds, especially if you want to grow, if you want to expand, if you want to do
yep.
something new or launch a new program. Your old wounds are going to pop up, and that's by design.
Hmm.
It's every new level you are at, there will be a new devil, but it's really younger parts that are just needing tender love and
Love and
care.
care. Yep. Could not agree
They'll
anymore with
see.
that. I feel like as we progress and transform in this life and we move into the next one, I'm not sure how spiritual you are, but I feel like
I'm fully spiritual.
yeah, I feel like the soul lives forever. And it's like this onion we're always stripping layers back, whether we're here or we're somewhere else.
Mm,
Yeah, that's what I feel.
absolutely.
Hmm.
I feel that that is so beautiful. I feel like my spiritual journey has also really, really deepened as I've done this work. It's just automatic. You feel more connected to yourself. So, of course, you feel more connected to your soul, to God, to universe, whatever that may look like for you. Your angels, for me, I've had brain spotting sessions and I've connected with ancestors and with clients that I've worked through grief. I can really channel their loved ones, and that might like
Oh, I
freak
love
people
that.
out. If people aren't spiritual, I don't, I don't relay any of those messages, but I can almost just feel their presence at a much deeper level. But if a client's pretty open or open to these things, I will tell them. But
Yeah, I'm
some
the
things
same.
are just wild. Yeah.
Yeah, because the more work you do on yourself, the more you feel into that. And I know for me, the more I've done on myself, the more prevalent my ancestors have been. And then when I do the work with people too, like I'm channeling their affirmations and different things, and like they're talking to me, and I'm
Mhm.
like channeling that. And I find that if I'm not in that, if they're not in that space, I'll still give the information, but I just won't say where it come from because then they'll then say, "Oh, my grandfather used to say that." I'm like, I know.
You're so connected. Like you're connected on a 5D level. You're connected to their soul. And
Yeah,
when you do a lot of this work, you will naturally become more intuitive because you're more connected. You're not going to think of it as weird. You're going to be like, wow, like look at who I am being. Look at
yeah.
what's coming up for me. It's very wild and so beautiful. The things that I've channeled for clients, like one client I had a few years ago, we were, healing a wound around her brother who committed suicide. And I literally heard a statement in my mind that was not coming from me. Your daughter has the same soul of your brother. And I
Oh,
literally said, I
oh,
don't know
oh.
why I feel the need to share this. Yeah, I said, I don't know why I need to share this, so and so, but this is what came through. And she literally cried and said, holy shit. When my daughter was born, I felt that she was my brother's soul.
I got goosebumps. Yeah, that's cool. Like the work that is like so special, and we all have these gifts. It's just the matter of your belief system, stripping them down and doing this inner work on yourself, and then your body goes back to its natural state. And this is our natural state of being. And I say, when you are physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually taking care of yourself, you get those pillars working in unison together, your body can do some cool shit. And this is the cool shit that I'm talking about.
Absolutely, Nathan. It's fucking insane the shit that can come up and that you can connect with. It's absolutely wild how
Yep.
far this spiritual journey can take you.
It literally is. What was the moment for you where you were like, holy shit? Because I know for me as a kid, I used to have like out of body experiences and all that sort of stuff. And then I sort
Mm-hmm.
of went on my alcohol journey and then I circled back and quit all that stuff. And I had all these things in my room pop up again. It's like, what was the moment for you? Did you sort of veer off the path? And then, like, what was the spiritual journey like for you before we sort of wrap things up in the next 15 or so?
I love that question. So for me as a child, I remember vividly, like my dad had all these flashlights everywhere. Like he owned his own alarm company. He would have different things. I remember looking at these flashlight holders and thinking, I see God in this. God is everywhere. Everything is energy. And then I kind of disconnected from that for years up until I went through my first spiritual awakening at 21. I started doing
21.
some work on myself. I started doing hypnotherapy, and then I became a trained hypnotherapist at 22, which is wild and bananas.
Wow, you
And
started young.
so I did start very young. And so then what this has looked like for me, I have been very connected to ancestors. And then at one point, so fun fact, I am Jewish. And so for me, I had a lot of ancestral trauma around Judaism because 95% of my family was killed in the Holocaust. And so when there were those things in Israel that happened on October 7th, when there was people killed, Israelis killed, and there was like a huge increase all over of anti-Semitism, and I had so much fear that I was going to die, that people were going to find out that I was Jewish and they're going to literally kill me, and I would have all this anxiety. And then I did this brain spotting session around it, and I saw so many different visualizations of me rescuing my family. So for instance, one of my sides of my family, my great grandfather, he was one of 11 children. I remember vividly, like, watching myself rescue all of these 11 children, and we were walking, and then I just felt and heard so many downloads that I'm divinely protected. I am so loved. My great grandfather told me all of these messages. It was absolutely insane. This was all with my eyes completely open, doing brain spotting. And I have felt a deep connection to him ever since. I can channel him, I can talk to him, I feel him right now in my presence.
I feel it
And
too.
he's just so, yeah, oh, he's just so loving and such a beautiful man, and it was one of the most healing experiences. And after that, I never ever feared being Jewish again. And for a while I didn't talk to anyone on my podcast that I was Jewish, and I'm even wearing like a necklace that has the country state of Israel there, because now I'm proud to be Jewish and say that I'm Jewish. I'm much more spiritual, but that is a cultural aspect of me. And so that's really for me what really kickstarted me into connecting with my guides, ancestors. I've also done a Dr. Joe Dispenza retreat, and wild shit happened there where I connected with a dog of mine who passed away, my great grandmother, my great great uncle Shlomo, who died by suicide. All of these things that I've connected with. So that has also opened me up as well into my spiritual journey.
Yeah, I can relate to some of those. Like you do like those healing modalities or like those retreats, and then you just yeah. Oh, I could talk to you about this for the next 3 hours. This could be like a 4-part podcast. So much to like. I don't know where to go now. It's like, do you? I know for me too. Do you then use that? Not use that. Where am I going here? I'm sort of like it's so good to see so many young people stepping into this space because I feel like those that were born before or after 2000 are like super powerful, and this is the sort of cool stuff that they can do very quickly. And I know for me too, my spiritual stuff came online really fast. Sounds like it's the same for you, and everyone's out there listening and watching. You have the ability to do this as well, and it can happen super, super fast because that's what like we're in right now. We're in a very interesting time in history where this is just bubbling away. Would you agree?
Absolutely.
Mm.
Everyone's popping up like popcorn. Everyone I know is like going through some sort of spiritual journey, or they're
Yeah.
connecting to that. But people who stay stuck, they're very disconnected from a higher power or angels, their guide. This could even be your higher self.
Yeah.
And that's what keeps people stuck in negative environments. It keeps people stuck in dead end jobs because
Yep.
they also don't feel that trust in something higher than them, and that's what can keep people stuck
And the
in their
comfort.
trauma. And that's the comfort. A
Mm.
100%. I could do a whole podcast about that, because if you want to talk about anxious attachment and healing your trauma, it's going to be uncomfortable. We're going to
Mm.
be bringing up suppressed or repressed emotions and traumas. You think that's comfortable? Absolutely not. But you know what's more uncomfortable? Being in a life where you're stuck in unhealthy
Oh,
relationships, where you're in unfulfilling jobs, you're in a soul sucking marriage, you're not communicating with people well, versus, okay, I'm going to heal my trauma and that's going to be uncomfortable, but it's going to lead me to fulfilling relationships, feeling fully seen, feeling connected to myself and others, and having a beautiful life and business or job for me that's meant for me. And I can look at my journey, and I don't look at myself as a victim. I see myself as a victor. I see myself as, look at all that I went through, because I am here to shift the vibrational energy of this planet. I'm here to raise the vibration of the planet. I'm really here to be in this role, and I feel it in my bones. I remember when I trained to become a hypnotherapist, I felt goosebumps all over my body as soon as I pressed sign up for that, for training in
yeah.
that. And I felt like God was speaking to me, like, this is my sacred yes. And holy shit, was
Mm.
that completely transformative for myself, other people's lives. It's
I can relate
wild.
to
It's
that.
beautiful.
Yeah, I fell through a table. I'll talk about it in the podcast I do with you, but I fell through a table talking to some young women, and then the next day I signed up to a coaching thing. It's like the same. Like you get the goosebumps, and then you start the journey. Like, oh my God, like there's so like yeah, I love this conversation because that's your intuition, that's your body compass saying yes, fuck yes to that thing because it's like you're supposed to do that as part of your journey. And then I feel like the more you ignore it, the more like not bad, but like the worse things are going to get until you do that thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, 100%. Anytime that I've wanted to veer off the path because of my own limiting beliefs, my own
Oh,
nervous system wanting to
here we go.
stick to any sort of certainty, holy shit, my life has become so much worse every time I neglect my soul knowing, my soul mission.
Yeah.
Your body will tell you, like, for a while, at a certain point, my business was struggling, last no 2 years ago, yeah, almost 2 years ago, when I had a year and a half ago, when I had that breakup, everything was tumbling down. It was like I made literally negative 700 that month when we broke up, went through the breakup. I felt horrible. I felt like my world was crashing down. My grandma also was heavily declining in her dementia. I felt horrible. If I'm being honest, I even felt suicidal at some points. I was so depressed because I was also trying to get a job to try and fix it and get the money. And the more I did that, the more things got even worse, up until I was like, no, like I can't give up. This is my sole mission. And then things actually started to get better. So a lot of clients, and I've also worked with a lot of business owners, it's also like you need to come back to your why. You need to come back to, why am I here? Why am I doing this? And when you are being truthful and in alignment, when you leave that job, even though it's uncomfortable, either you do it or the universe will do it. If I'm being honest, I've been fired from 3 jobs because my soul knew I needed to be in my business. And those 3 jobs, it was very temporary because my soul wasn't supposed to be doing that. It was supposed to be doing my company, my business. And that's where I've always felt the most fulfilled. I've never truly, truly doubted it once. I know that that's been my soul knowing, my soul mission. It's the most fulfilling and rewarding thing I've ever done, is coach clients through this. It is
Same.
deeply like my mission. You feel it if you're meant to do it.
I 100% agree with that. Oh, fucking mic drop that. I couldn't agree any more with you if I tried.
Mm.
It's a very special thing. But the thing I want to reiterate to the listeners and your audience that's listening to you speak right now is that you have the power to do this and sit here and do the exact same thing we're doing. It's not hard. It's
Mm-hmm.
just going over to that box of shit that you've kept stuck for like however long and just walking over there and opening it up and just fucking immersing in it.
Mm-hmm. And it can be hard, and it's also harder not doing it. You got to pick your
Oh,
battles.
pick your,
I'd
yeah.
rather go through my shit, and so I don't have to go through or put my child through what I had to go through.
Yeah, that's you know what? That's the thing that I circle back to the most is that I'm doing this for my future family and my future children, that they don't have to carry around the stuff that I've had to carry around. It's like they get that clean slate. It's like that's it for me. Like that's my why. And then
Mm-hmm.
like yeah, it's so special, hey. More men need
That's
to
a
do.
huge part of my why as well. Yes, yes,
Mhm.
absolutely. More men, more women, everyone needs to do this work. It's so powerful. And if you aren't proud of the person that you're becoming, then do what you need to do that. Do
Yeah.
what you need to do to connect to your soul. This could be in little moments. Please make sure that you're doing this because you don't want to pass this on to your children. It ends with you. You're
Oh.
listening to this because you know this ends with you. And I'm sure whoever's listening to this is like, fuck, Valerie, like maybe you're right. Bitch, I am right.
I say that in my content all the time. It starts and ends with you. You are the one. Like, and then when I got that from someone special on the other side that told me that, like, I like instantly knew that like my whole life's like journey till that point was like, okay, now it's time to go back and just shift all this stuff because then it's gonna open up and clear the slate for your future children. Like when I saw that and felt that, like far out. Like it's just that moment, like that. It was such a special moment. Fuck, we're going deep here.
Beautiful. I love that. Yeah, I haven't shared a lot of the spiritual aspects and that for my why, but I was literally telling my best friend Emily today, it's like I'm doing this work because I don't ever want someone to go through what I had to go through, and that includes my future children. People say I would die for my children. Would you live for them? Would you go to therapy for them? Would you heal your trauma for them? Would you work out for them? Would you change your diet for them? Would you stop, you know, sitting on your phone doom scrolling till 3 a.m. for them?
Yeah.
Because a child needs an attuned and present parent. It starts with you. And if you cannot do that, don't have children. And that is perfectly okay. If more people were to literally acknowledge that, the world would be completely different. And that is
Mm.
okay. That is okay.
Yep. Yeah, I just might drop that speech because it's so true and it's so prevalent out there. A lot of these kids now, you see it, there's a lot of, yeah, that's a whole nother podcast, I feel. Because,
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
to wrap things up, if there's a young person watching this, we've gone on so many tangents here. We've gone from anxious attachment to spiritual journeys to like all this stuff. Like, if you're listening and watching this and you're like, fuck, these two have gone on like the most epic tangents, which I feel like we have, just putting it out there. What would be a
Absolutely.
way for you and a piece of advice that you could give someone right now that can start their journey to sort of wrap all this up in a big bow and say, here you go. Start off here.
Learn how to process your emotions. It
Ooh.
all starts there. Whether you're anxiously attached, avoidantly attached, whatever label you want to call yourself, we all need to learn how to feel safe in our bodies and learn how to process our emotions instead of going straight to numbing or distracting or working. We need to learn how to feel safe in our body, how to feel safe in the anxiety, in the fear, in the depression, in the grief. Can you hold these parts of yourself? Can you witness these parts with love and tenderness instead of shaming, instead of telling yourself, I shouldn't be feeling this way? How I feel is wrong. I'm overreacting. I'm being irrational. All that does, baby, is literally keep it stuck in your body. So when you can learn how to process your emotions and soothe those younger parts of you, that's when you become the securely attached parent and you receive all the unconditional love from within. Then you stop chasing emotionally unavailable partners. Then you stop reaching for the external validation. That's when you start to actually come home to yourself. That is the work that we are doing. And so I even notice like I'm getting so passionate and so loud
I
about it.
love it.
But I have, yes, and if you want to know how to do that, because no one is taught this until you go to therapy, or maybe you've been very lucky and you've had more securely attached parents. So, what I would love to offer your audience is a completely free meditation. It's in my bio. It's how to heal abandonment anxiety, and it's how to process your emotions. It goes through different somatic exercises, tuning into the sensations and emotions in your body, inner child work, and breath work. It's a whole process of processing and feeling safe in your body. I recommend it to every single person. I don't care what attachment style, if you're an alien, if you're whatever, you got to listen to it because it's
Well, we're
really
all
going to help
alien,
you.
but anyway, that's another
Yeah.
tangent.
Yes.
Thank you for offering that to my audience. We'll put a link to that directly in the show notes. And that's the lead into the next question. Where can people find you?
Yes, people can find me on Instagram at Heal with Val, HEAL with VAL, or you can check out my podcast where I talk every week with different thought leaders, mental health experts about anxious attachment, overcoming anxiety and mental health struggles, all about relationships in the modern age and how to navigate all the
Ooh,
twists and turns
all
that
the
come with it,
juicy stuff.
all the juicy stuff. And Nathan's going to be on mine as well. So that's called the Anxiety Recovery Podcast with Valerie Rubin. So I'd love for you to check either of those out.
That is awesome. Valerie, thank you for sharing all you shared today. So many mic drop moments. We're going to have some very viral reels go up in the next couple of weeks after this, I reckon.
That's
I
right.
love your passion. I love your energy. I really want to get you back on and we can actually delve into like a certain topic and not go off on. I've got a mind map here of all the tangents we went off. If you're watching this on YouTube, these are all the tangents we went on today and we've circled back. So,
I love
Valerie,
it.
thank you so much. And yeah, I'd love to get you back on and we can do this again.
Oh man, I'd love to be back on, Nathan. Thank you so much for having me on. It was such a pleasure.
Yes, I've learnt so much and I'm very keen to do your meditation. So once you send that through, I'm just gonna go and do it.
Awesome. I'm so excited for you to try it out.
Alrighty, this has been the Breaking Free podcast. I'm your host, Nate Francis. Valerie and I, we're out of here. And I'll talk to all of you guys again soon. And thank you for listening and watching. Cheers.